Now, Fex and Leo were up on stage, and even Quinn was a little excited to see the outcome of the match. When looking at the two, their fighting stances were quite different. Leo had both hands out in front of him, similar to karate or a little like boxing, while Fex had both hands down by his side, but his knees were slightly bent. Slowly, Fex was circling Leo. Fex was the first to strike. He came in throwing his fists in quick succession, two to the head and then another to the body. However, just like before, by using his palms, Leo was able to knock them away. He could block them, Fex thought, but I only pulled back on my speed a little. I was sure from watching the match earlier this would be fast enough. After blocking the attacks, Leo followed up with a kick aimed toward Fex's head. Seeing this, Fex jumped back and tried to grab the leg, but at the last second, it seemed like the angle had changed, causing Fex's grab to miss. Again! It's like he knows what I'm going to do! Fex inwardly was starting to get annoyed. Then, while bringing his leg back, he was able to catch Fex on the head with the heel of his foot. As the fight continued, Fex got more excited, and he started putting more power into his punches. It got to the point where it was power beyond a regular human with no ability. While looking at his energy grew wilder and stronger, it started to remind Leo of the Dalki, and this soured his mood. It brought back specific memories. Usually, the Dalki were reckless when they fought, but the toughest opponent Leo ever had to face was one which knew how to use martial arts skills, and right now, the resemblance was too close. Although he was banned from using his abilities, Leo's was slightly different compared to the others. His ability was always on. Since he was blind, he would constantly activate his ability to see the aura of living things around him. In turn, this also allowed him to see the flow of energy in his opponent's body. When an opponent attacks, their energy flow would move before the body of the person did. This was the same when a person used their abilities as well. Fex threw out stiff and straight fast blows with the fist, but knowing what he was going to do beforehand, Leo was able to block all of the attacks. What? But I was sure I increased the speed quick enough so he wouldn't be able to block it, Fex thought. Then, when Leo prepared for a kick, he could still see where Fex was planning to dodge. He continued to kick in rapid successions, aiming for where Fex would be at each time. Can he read my mind? What's going on? Fex asked himself out of frustration. When the kick stopped for a breath of a second, Fex thought he had finally gotten a break, but before he could do anything, another kick was aimed at him from above. An axe kick, which slammed down on the back of his head as hard as he could. The blow was harder than Fex thought it would be, so he was unable to prepare himself in time. His legs gave in, and his head bounced off of the ground. Before Leo himself had realized it, he had been too consumed by his past memories. It had affected his usual clear mind. However, he knew the student was safe since his aura was still burning brightly. Fex slowly started to get up, pushing his body up with his arms, with his nose slightly bent. Unfortunately, I didn't expect to meet such a skilled student, hence I might have taken the fight a little too seriously, Leo said. Thank you for the battle, teacher. You have taught me how useful your martial arts truly are, Fex said as he bowed down and walked off of the stage. Wait, Leo said. Please tell me, where did you learn to fight like that? As you can see, my ability is only level 1. My family has always been weak, so we decided to train in the form of martial arts to help build a good foundation, Fex answered. As Fex walked back to the crowd, he quickly snapped his nose back into place. He also had bruise marks all over his body, but they would soon heal, so there wasn't much to worry about. With the 2 demonstrations over, it was time for Leo to start the class. The first thing Leo started to demonstrate was the kicks. Leo asked the group to get into pairs and spar with each other. This was Quinn's chance to approach Fex, as he could see he was all on his own, since no one wanted to pair up with him. I guess you already know what I am, Quinn said while looking at Fex, keeping his fist closed, ready for things to turn at any second. Do you know who I am? Fex asked. Thanks to the system's inspect skill, Quinn did know. Fex Sanguinus, correct? Well, it's to be expected. I thought maybe my fame was starting to die around the other families, Fex said, swiping his hair back. I remember you saying that if I needed any help, you would offer your hand. Quinn then took in a deep breath. I need you to help me with the ghoul problem, the one that you captured the other day. Fex then smiled. I thought as much. He had seen Quinn use his shadow ability. It was an ability that other vampires hadn't used in years. Sooner or later, he would be caught by his family and be sent back. If Fex was able to get information from Quinn, how he got this and which family he belonged to, then perhaps the punishment he would receive would be lighter. Of course I can help you, Fex said. But I do have one condition, Fex said, looking over in the direction of the two girls. You see, the one with the golden hair? All I ask is for some alone time with her. There's no way we can trust that guy, Layla shouted. Currently, the whole group had finished their combat classes for the day and were inside Quinn's room. I hate to admit it, Borden said, but I kind of agree with Layla on this one. What is another vampire doing in this school in the first place? While the others were thinking about what to do, Borden pulled Quinn off to one side so they could have a private conversation with one another. Hey man, not to add to your worries or anything, Borden started, but I think we've another problem you should know about. Borden then went on to explain how a few of Duke's men had come up to Peter in their training session and how they had asked him to learn the level 4 ability by the end of the week. Then we have no choice, Quinn said. We don't know if Duke is going to keep a closer eye on Peter or what he plans to do. If we don't get Peter off this new diet as soon as possible, then we might have a serious problem on our hands. If it's about trusting the vampire boy or the Duke, I think right now I trust the vampire more. It was a calm day. Quinn stood there opposite Fex, behind the roof door. The door was slightly open as the four of them peeked to have a look at what was going on. Quinn said, We will be waiting just on the other side of that door, and if anything happens to her, we will— I know, Fex said with a yawn. And about the ghoul problem, you promise you'll help us straight after, right? Quinn asked. I already have it sorted, Fex said confidently. Just a fair warning, she knows what you are, so she will be cautious, Quinn replied. Looks like you're breaking rules all over the place, Fex said. I guess it isn't a problem if you plan to turn her eventually. Fex had never seen a vampire break all the rules so casually. There was only one person who was as daring as him, and that was Fex himself. At first, Erin walked slowly, but as she got closer and closer to Fex, she started to walk faster. The closer she got to him, the more annoyed she was at seeing his face. I thought I had already warned you. If you were to mention what you saw in the library, I would teach you a lesson, she shouted. Hearing Erin's words, Fex was a bit confused. He could tell she was angry, but apparently it had something to do with their last meeting. Wait, it couldn't have something to do with that book, could it? As she charged forward, her face had now gone bright red once again, and she pulled out her sword, but suddenly her movement started to slow as she felt something wrapping around her legs and arms. When she looked at Fex, she could see him doing something with his hands. The string-like substance continued to tangle all over her body. Finally, she was completely restricted and could no longer move. Erin was not at the level where she could use the ice abilities with just her mind. She still required small movements with her hands to activate her ability, Fex said. Anyway, hear me out. During my time here, I need a puppet as well as a food source. Now, since you decided to punish me in the library, you have the grace of becoming both of those things.
Hi, Quinn here. Wondering what happens next? If you want to jump the queue and unleash all episodes, click on the link here and install the Pocket FM app.